You won't get right. No one ever guess where I'm from. How you say James in Russian? I think you don't like to go out.
The way that you are, all the way that you are.
So I was coming out from work. I felt grim. I felt stressed. It'd been a really anxiety-inducing day. I was doing a really high-end sales job at the time, and I had to go out and teach a student. We met in Oxford Street. Day game was heaven and hell. And it started raining. The sky looked apocalyptic. It was just cold. It was windy. It was like November in London. It was just that kind of grim thing. And I'm stressed and tired and too much coffee in my system. And then it starts to wear off and you get this weird tired high vibe. And I just was not in a good state to socialise. In fact, I was probably in the best state to socialise because springboarding into the present often makes you feel better. And when we've got all these narratives in our head, when we actually are truly present, they disappear. Anyway, I met the student. He was that classic weird, jerky guy that thankfully we don't have to deal with much anymore. It was in the early days of coaching where it was kind of jack of all trades coming in.
Yeah.
And he was a bit awkward. So often we take on the energy of the person we're with, don't we? And if they've got that weird energy, that makes you feel even worse.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting anything, but obviously I was there. I was suited and booted with coffee stains all over my suit, and I had to make something happen, right? He's come out for a coaching session, and I have to be feeling it to then allow him to feel it as well. So I remember being like, okay, watch this one. It was it was in my mind a practice girl. And it was this cute blonde girl with a massively resting bitch face, big fluffy pink headphones in, racing past me. And I was like, right, this is going to be a fucking disaster. I leapfrogged in front of her. Even as I jumped in front of her, it got worse. Like she jumped back and she was like, and I was like, oh, in my mind, I'm dying 1,000 deaths. But then she takes her, and I was like, how, like almost like an Indian chief.
You did
like,
the
how?
old Gandalf stuff, like you shall not pass.
Or like,
type
you know,
thing.
where they're dancing around the totem pole, the howl, like the Indian chief we've seen, just put out the arm and she was like, with this confused look, and I was like, not a great day, but I just had to say, you look great. And it was completely opposite to what I expected. She melted in the sense that resting bitch face went, and she was just like, you could tell she was so like enamored with the fact that
it was a genuine response. It was like she really appreciates the fact that she came. It was probably because you were being genuine as well.
She mirrored my authenticity, so I didn't try and hide it. I looked a bit stressed, I looked a bit anxious, I looked a bit awkward, and I just went, like, I've had a bad day, but I saw you and I had to take my chance. You look great. And for her, we often have this perception in our head about things going badly, right? So we had actually after that, it went downhill again. We had a very basic conversation. She was in a rush to get a plane and she headed off, and I just thought that I went back to the student. I was like, well, look, there was a good one just to warm up, like expecting nothing from it, right? Got the number on phone, just like blonde haired girl, resting bitch face. Expected nothing to come of it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, this is the perfect music to accompany what happened, which is I kind of dejectedly walked back, being like, oh, it was a good reaction, but then it went downhill. And I actually liked her. I thought it's just cute. There's something cool about her. You know, where's this going to go? But then obviously going back to the student, raining, like we're both kind of, the rest of the session was shit. I went home, I was like, I've got this one lead on my phone. I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to bother texting her. And then I changed my mind. I had a bit of whiskey, a bit of Dutch courage, Scotch whiskey. I was like, you know what, worst case scenario, she just doesn't reply. So I messaged her, expecting nothing. And then lo and behold, and then we'll play the clip just to segue them off to some other fucking dimension.
From Lviv? Ah, okay. I don't know. I was in Lviv like 2 weeks ago, and I go back to Ukraine in 1 week.
Oh, it is bad situation now in Ukraine. And you was there?
I was there for 1 month, yeah, and I go back again. But now many people go into Lviv from Poland, you know. And what do you think? If you have guessed, what would you say? You won't get right. No one ever guess where I'm from.
I don't know, really.
China, would you say? Why not? I don't know Chinese.
Not looks like China.
What about Africa?
No.
Not Africa. Where do you think?
Maybe
Italian, really? I think maybe it's compliment.
but where?
I love Italian food, but I'm not from Italy. I'm from the land where everyone drinks tea. You know this? We have a queen, everyone drinks tea. Yes. Yeah.
Not bad.
And you look like you're waiting for a date.
I wait to my friend.
You're going for a party tonight, Kalyan.
Not hard to just well, he will meet with our friend who comes here from That's it.
Oh, okay. Do you find it hard to understand when I speak English?
What?
When I speak English, it's hard for you to understand, or
Not hard.
you understand? When I speak to some Ukrainians in Warsaw, they find my accent hard because they learn like American English, you know. So they say, James, what are you talking about? And my Ukrainian is not good, but I started learning. Now I can say Yablika and Nastarovia. Very impressive, yeah?
Yes.
Do you have Instagram or Telegram? Add me.
Sorry.
How you add someone on Telegram? Usually I use WhatsApp, but
Oh, I not respond.
yeah, everyone in Ukraine uses Telegram, right?
Yes.
How you add someone? You do name or?
Number of telephone.
Okay. And what do you do? Are you a student or are you working? How old are you?
24.
And what do you do in Warsaw?
I live here with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I work here, but I work not for Warsaw, for Ukraine. As a job for
Oh, they move you with the same place,
no,
with the same company.
From laptop.
And what is the job?
It's like a farm. I don't know how to say it.
Tell me in Ukrainian. I speak Ukrainian. No, just joking. Is it complicated job like IT?
Not IT.
Thank God.
Reklama, you know?
Wik-
At work,
Wiktama?
reklama.
Reklama? It's like Yablika. Oh, I have this. You can put translate. Look, my translate I have now.
I have two.
But I don't.
Advertising, for advertising.
Advertise.
I do account.
You speak. It's in Russian. You speak, not Ukrainian. Okay. James. Your name is. How you say James in Russian? Dmitry. Oh,
James, I don't know.
and your name is. What will you do this weekend?
I don't know.
Maybe come and join us. We get a table. We go to level 27. You know this place?
I
You like?
never been there.
I went like 5 years ago. So the first time I go back. Honestly, when I went 5 years ago, no, I didn't like. I like C'est La Vie. I prefer this is cool. You know, they have the garden. You know C'est La Vie? They have beautiful garden. It's like a restaurant and it turns into a bar. Super cool. You never been? I think you don't like to go out. You like to sit with a cup of chai reading Dostoevsky. Something like this. See you later.
So before I finish the original story and how that actually ended up panning out, I think the key learning point that we often have is we have this idea, or guys have this idea, students in particular have this idea. They're like, Tusk and Les, you cherry pick your infields. They have this false perception of like, me and Les, we're these kind of smooth criminals. Like every conversation we have is like this masterpiece of emotion and push-pull and amazing flirting. It's like, no. The reality is most of the conversations we have, exactly like you just saw in the shopping centre, is us going up, feeling a bit nervous, projecting that internal state outwards and having a pretty fucking average conversation where we're just kind of hoping for the best, right? And I think we have this narrative in our head that just because it's like we put pressure on ourselves and it's shit for us and we have these high self-standards we'd adhere to, that's the same reality for other people. The simple fact is it's not. And going back to that original story about me and that blonde girl on Oxford Street, I sent the text. She replied with a long essay about how enamored she was by the whole scenario. We ended up going on a date, which I didn't actually even, she came on the date and we had a couple of dates and then we ended up hooking up like 2 or 3 dates in. And I ended up seeing this girl for years. Like she was the longest relationship I've ever had. And admittedly a very up and down, imagine Noah's Ark gets swept up in this storm and the animals are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like this crazy, horrible, like emotional, like roller coaster of a narrative. But again, probably the reason she stuck around so long is because it's the drama and the tension.
Yeah,
right? It keeps the audience engaged.
But the point of the story is that we often have this narrative of how we want a conversation to go.
Yep.
And when it doesn't go the way we want it to go,
We're like, oh, we won't even bother with it.
fuck it, you know, or we even think we freak ourselves out before we even go and talk to the girl because we think, oh, it has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. The best relationships I've had with this stuff, or the ones that have lasted the longest, have been the not very good conversations. You know, when you wake up in the morning, you run up to someone and you sort of spew your piece, your breath might smell. Forgot to buy chewing gum that day. No, I'm joking. Try and have good breath. But the point is, you don't know what's going to happen. Don't expect it to be perfect. And exactly like what happened in this story, your conversations most of the time are not going to be good. In fact, they might be quite average. But the fact of the matter is that you just do the action. You go and talk to the girls, you get the number, you go through the process. Even if it doesn't go exactly the way you want it to go, sometimes it's going to go well, sometimes it's not going to go well. But the fact of the matter is that you need to put yourself in front of as many girls as possible. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to get the results. So don't expect anything different.